Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Talking Real Estate with Mark Wayne of the second tier Champions Real Estate Team, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate Company. Hope everyone's having a great Wednesday afternoon. And just want to touch base with you, going over what's gone on in the market in the last week. Last week, I wasn't able to jump on. I was a little under the weather, so apologize about that. So we'll get caught up over the last 2 weeks. So the spring market is actually out there hopping and very, very, very active through the aspect of it. So I know, looking at the numbers here. So new listings, we have 456 new listings this last week. A couple weeks ago, we were about at 330. So we are up about 120. So that's probably the largest jump we've seen since the beginning of the year. New contracts, same thing. You know, basically we have 501 new contracts that were written this last week. So basically the market, the numbers themselves essentially are staying about the same. You know, basically I think it's one in, one out. So one comes on, one goes off. So I think, you know, anyone that's actively in the market right now, whether you're a buyer or seller, you're seeing that as well. Is basically anything that pops up middle of the week is probably gone by the weekend. Anything hops on, you know, the Thursday, Friday is probably gone by Saturday night, Sunday, in that aspect of it. So we had 429 sold homes. So that's basically indicative of what the market was doing, you know, about 60 days ago. Is on average about 45 to 60 days is basically what we're looking at as far as turnaround time for, you know, going through escrow, the home inspections and things like that. So we'll touch on that as well. Another thing I wanted to share with you, just kind of the Douglas County and Sarpy County, kind of the greater Omaha area. Let me click it up here. Big picture aspect of it. So I take out the no-show status listings. So basically those are listings that are in the MLS, but they're essentially not live to the public. Us as agents can see them, but we cannot show them, hence the no-show status. But we are about 1,240 listings. That's about the same when we did this, our last talk 2 weeks ago. But as you saw, we had, you know, more active homes come on the market, about 100 more. And then we also had more contracts written, but our numbers in the big picture of it are staying the same. So if you're just looking at these numbers, you know, week in and week out, you're like, oh, nothing is changing. But if you actually look at what's happening week over week on the active listings, you know, we're seeing that there are very much more homes coming on the market, which is typical for this time of year. You know, as we kind of get after Easter, you know, and everyone's going to try to get into a house potentially, you know, while the kids are still in school, you can go out and look at homes. While the kids are at school, you're not having to take the kids with you. So that kind of comes up until we see, you know, the Memorial Day weekend. You know, it slows down a little bit around the Memorial Day. People start taking vacations. Then it ramps up until 4th of July weekend. You know, and then it kind of slows down because people start taking those last minute summer vacations before school starts. But I guess getting back to the market here. So in Douglas and Sarpy County, we only have about 600 homes on the market, which has been pretty commonplace for the last month or so, if not longer. And then we look at the existing homes. We're about 325 homes that are on the market that you're available to go look at today as of 10 o'clock this morning when I kind of put this graph chart together here. New construction, about the same, 271, you know, spec homes or homes that are basically in the multiple listing service. So we're about a 1 month supply of inventory. What that means is if we had 0 homes come on the market after today at noon, we would have 1 month of houses and then we would be without homes. So average sold price looking here is about 266, was 270 last month. We're about 9% up. The other thing I took a look at is essentially the active homes for sale, the list price from this time last year, so April of 2020 to April of 2021, is up about 20%. You know, so when I take a look at that, you know, with how crazy the market is out there, you know, there's a lot of different things we're seeing out there, and some people are like, well, I'm going to wait a year, maybe, you know, see if things calm down at all. Well, looking at, you know, the numbers and active listings and stuff to that sort, you know, if you did that kind of call last year, you'd be paying almost 20% more for those active listings right now. And then obviously interest rates, you know, are pretty favorable right now. They're still in the low 3s, which is great purchasing power. But if we see that those market or those numbers start to tick up, you know, your purchasing power will go down with those interest rates. So I guess what are we seeing now, you know, in the active marketplace? I've written a bunch of contracts over this last week. What we're seeing is if those that aren't getting them accepted, the offers that are getting accepted are looking at basically a lot of them are doing no inspections. They are paying the difference in appraisal, which myself as being a fairly conservative person and being, you know, if something is, you write it up to 250, it only appraises for 240. Some buyers are willing to make up that $10,000 difference if they have to come with an additional $10,000 to closing to finalize that sale and close on that home. I don't know, and that's something we can talk about as a strategy, if that makes sense or doesn't make sense. We talked about home inspections, in that aspect of being very flexible with closing date for those sellers, and then even renting it back to the seller. Some sellers, obviously if they're putting their house on the market, they got to find a place to go if they haven't already, and they may want to, a month or so to rent back that house, or, having a end date on that so that buyer essentially doesn't become necessarily a landlord. So those are things that we're all looking at when we're kind of putting together offers. That is what we're seeing in the marketplace. It's ever changing, so it's one of those things that, as a coach at heart, sometimes you got to call an audible, and you got to see what the competition are doing and how you can kind of adjust and move forward with that to successfully get a home for your client. I think one of the things right now that sellers are doing that's kind of helping out the process is doing a pre-inspection. So they're doing that home inspection, and they're having a knowledge of what, exactly could be coming up. They're fixing some of those issues because, I look at it right now that when we're talking about what should we list our house for, from a selling perspective, it's more of what's the asking price, what's the starting price of where we're going to be, because essentially a lot of the houses that you're starting at 250, are going for 260, 270, depending on the condition. And it's one of those and then we're talking about appraisal issues in that respect, that some buyers are willing to pay that difference. But as a seller's agent, we want to get the most money for our clients. And so we're providing that information to those appraisers to hopefully get those houses to appraise. But as we look at it, that housing market is obviously very, very strong, and it's very robust as we're moving forward here. So as always, if you want to, you can jump on our and check out all of the active listings. I think it's not sharing here. Our active listings on our championsrealestateteam.com website. So basically you can jump on here, search any of the active listings. You can do a home valuation. You can also do a market report, market insider report, basically get an idea of what's going on in your neighborhood on a monthly basis. So you can, basically have like a stock ticker that's going on the bottom of the screen. If you're watching CNBC, this will give you an update of what's going on in your market, in your specific neighborhood every month. So that's a very good tool. You can also follow our Facebook page here, which is what this video is on, as well as Zoom. But as always, if you have any questions, you want to talk about what's going on in the market, love to talk about it. Give me a holler, 402-672-7670. Shoot me a message on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, anything to that sort. Happy to help you. And ultimately, we want to basically get you coached up on what's going on the marketplace. So I know I have clients that are coming in from California, and it's just having an honest conversation with them of what's going on in our marketplace here versus what's going on in their marketplace, in California. A lot of similarities, some differences, but that's what we do is we make sure that you're knowledgeable of what's going on so that we're not just writing offers. Work with the team, work with agents, here at Champions Real Estate Team, that we're doing this day in and day out. Last year, over 30% of agents in the Omaha area, out of 3,000 agents, did not sell a single transaction. So if make sure you have an agent that knows exactly what they're doing, how to kind of, work with, these appraisal issues, home inspections, what we're looking at, and how inevitably we can get you a house, and then inevitably selling that house for you too, if you need to get that home sold. But as always, if you have any questions, like I said, reach out. If you watch this video later, comment on it. We'll keep track of it, or direct message me, whatever's easiest. And you can also hear on our home buyer and seller guides, you can click on those. Those are free for you to download. As always, have a great Wednesday. I want to try to keep it short and sweet, and I will talk to you guys soon, and we will see you next week, and take care.